for having me.
Mr. Mujoro, the supplementary registration of votes for the Keetmanshoop Rural Constituency by-election kicked off this morning. Please do give us an update on that.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for having me once again, and good evening to your viewers as well. I can confirm that, yes, we have started with the supplementary registration process for the Keetmanshoop Rural Constituency. We commenced this morning at 8 in the morning, and we will run this process until the 10th. It's a 4-day supplementary of voters registration process, starting today the 7th, concluding on the 10th. The operating hours from 8 to 7 p.m. I can also mention to our viewers that we are operating about 7 semi-fixed points, plus in addition to about 12 mobile teams for the purposes of executing this voters registration process throughout this particular constituency. I can also add that by 5 p.m. this afternoon, we have registered more than 100 voters from the various registration points distributed within this particular constituency. Mm-hmm. So in a nutshell, the process started well. We are satisfied. We have not encountered any issues in respect to the operations on the ground, the technology that we are utilizing to register voters. We have also not received any complaints whatsoever from the voters or our political stakeholders. So I can say that we are quite satisfied at this point.
And how many voters in total are you expecting to register for the by-election? And also talk to us about who is eligible to vote.
Yes. When you look at the Keetmanshoop Rural Constituency, the number of registered voters at this point, or let me say before we commenced with the supplementary registration process, stood at 6,224 registered voters. In terms of the eligibility requirements, we are looking at Namibian citizens, if you are 18 years or older, and if you are able to identify yourself when you get to the registration point. And importantly, I should add also that you must be a resident of the Keetmanshoop Rural Constituency for you to be able to be registered as a voter in this particular constituency. Mm-hmm. And in terms of our expectations, it is a little bit difficult to predict the number of people that we expect to be registered during this 4-day supplementary registration process. It really depends on how many people have moved from other constituencies to settle in the Keetmanshoop Rural Constituency and therefore now qualify to be registered so that they receive correct voters' cards and so that at the end of the day they are able to participate in the voting process. In addition to that, it also depends on how many persons have turned 18 years in the intervening period since we conducted the last supplementary registration process back in the year 2020.
Now also the election for Okaku constituency is scheduled to take place on the 17th. Is this still the case? And perhaps you can also talk to us about the preparedness for this constituency, please.
Yes, indeed. We are running 2 by-election processes simultaneously, as you rightly said. We are on the ground in the Okaku constituency of the Oshana region. I am happy to inform the Namibian nation that our preparations remain on course in as far as the Okaku constituency by-election is concerned. That by-election will take place on the 17th of March. I can confirm with our viewers that we have a number of critical programs over the next few days, starting with a training for members of the Namibian police force who will be deployed in this by-election process, but also political party agents. The training for these two categories will be conducted from the 9th to the 10th of March, followed by a training for our polling staff, our polling officials, which is scheduled from the 11th to the 15th of March. And then on the 16th of March is what we call the day of deployment, where we will now provide all the required materials and equipment to the respective polling teams before they are deployed to their various polling duty stations to be able to perform election duty on the 7th of March, which I have indicated as the confirmed date on which this particular by-election will take place. I can also add that we have determined a total of 18 polling stations for the Okaku constituency by-election. About 15 of these would be fixed polling stations, while we have other 6 mobile polling stations that have been determined. We are confident that this should provide ample opportunities for all our voters in this constituency. It provides ample options so that people who live in various parts of this constituency may go out in great numbers and really have a meaningful participation, in respect to this particular by-election as well.
Mr. Mujoro, how many candidates are competing in the election? And perhaps you can tell us if voter education took place amongst the electorate of the Okaku constituency.
Yes, for the Okaku constituency by-election, we have 4 candidates contesting, and all of them, at least this time around, are representing registered political parties. So we have a candidate representing the SWAPO party, we have a candidate representing the IPC, a 3rd candidate representing the PDM, and a 4th candidate representing the Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters, short for NEF for short, yeah. So in respect to the voter education program, civic education program in this constituency, it really has been an ongoing activity. We have teams on the ground who have been going around informing the communities in this constituency about various aspects of the by-election, starting with the registration process that we had already concluded. As we speak, with about 10 days left before this particular by-election, we are intensifying, in fact, our voter education efforts on the ground. We have these teams that I'm referring to, voter education teams, are conducting face-to-face sessions with communities, with our voters in various parts of this constituency. In addition to that, we are also utilizing to a great extent the radio language services, which is a very effective medium in terms of imparting information to our voters in this particular constituency. For the Okaku by-election, in terms of number of registered voters, we have slightly over 10,000 registered voters, which is quite a significant number. And we have made sure that our teams on the ground that will be conducting the voter education are properly resourced and that they have the mobility that they require really to be able to reach all corners of this constituency. And I can assure our viewers that come the 17th of March, which is the day of this by-election, all registered voters in this constituency would have the information about where the polling stations are located, and importantly, the steps within a particular polling station or what would be required from them. But most importantly, the importance of participating in this very important democratic exercise.
Thank you, Mr. Mujoro. Perhaps just your final words to the communities of the Keetmanshoop Rural Constituency as well as the Okaku constituency as they gear up and register in preparation for these elections.
Yes, we really want to emphasize, as we always do, that it is important, it is absolutely important to participate in these electoral processes, be it a supplementary registration of voters process to ensure that you are correctly registered, that you have your voter's card, and that you are able to participate and really cast your vote and have a say in terms of deciding on who the next councillor would be in your particular constituency. The same applies for voters, registered voters in the Okaku constituency. Come the 17th of March, we really want to see people queuing up in large numbers. We are proceeding against a backdrop of a significant low voter turnout that had characterized the by-elections we conducted in the recent past. We really want to see a different picture when it comes to these two by-elections, recognizing the fact that Namibia as a country is preparing for the next round of national elections towards the end of next year. So therefore, people need to start to realize that it is important, it is really important to participate in these processes, come out in large numbers so that you have a say in the destiny of your constituency or your country for that matter.
Always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and all the best to the ECN with these by-elections.
Thank you for having me.
That was Mr. Theo Mujoro speaking to us on the line from the Electoral Commission of Namibia. We're going to take a short break to enjoy our global news roundup. When we come back, we speak to Namibian influencer Taimi Nunyango.